Hi, my name is Zach Reed, and this is a sociological self-portrait of myself. So, for the culture of my family, I was raised in a family that was deeply rooted into the Pentecostal faith. Religion was the foundation of my family. It was God first, family second, and then everything else. Below on the right side of the screen is an actual photo of Redemption Road Church, which is the church that is owned and operated by my family, and my uncle is the pastor of the church. Groups, authority, and formal organizations. As a child, my family group was very close, like I said, and we have a large family, and for the most part, all of the family attends Redemption Road Church. But today, I'm a student at Campbellsville University. I am also a devoted father to a 3-year-old little girl named Arabella. And as for my family today, things have changed a little bit. I am divorced, and I have a fiance currently, and I am very close to my parents, but I have disconnected from the church and that organization completely, along with the majority of my extended family, basically because disconnecting from the church led them to disconnect from me because I do not share the same beliefs as my family does, because that has been the beliefs in my family since 1971, I believe, when the church started. So since then, my family have believed this way, and if you don't believe that way, then you're basically excommunicated. But my parents have learned to agree to disagree with certain things and still love me to this day. And I have a wonderful fiance that keeps me going. So that is my family group today. It has changed a lot since I was a child, but as for today, it's strong, and I'm happy with the way that my family group is today. The bottom left, you'll see a picture of my mother and my father. My mother's name is Julie Reed, and my father's name is Clarence Reed. To the right is my beautiful fiance, Shelby Cash, and myself, taken at a wedding a few months ago. The next photo is a picture of myself and Shelby again alongside my mother. And then to the right, we have a picture of my beautiful little girl, Arabella, who's getting ready to turn 3 in October. Of all the titles that I hold from a sociological standpoint, being a father is the greatest title that I hold to this day. On to deviance and social control. I like to refer to Edwin's labeling theory here. As I mentioned earlier in a previous slide, I am divorced. And the reason I mention Edwin's labeling theory is because to my family and the church that they have, their beliefs are that divorce is a sin. It is completely going against the grain of their social circumstances in that religion, in that denomination of the religion. So I am labeled as a sinner and labeled as a backslider and an outcast because of my choices of such as getting divorced, and then to my current living situation. I do live with my fiance outside of marriage, which that is widely socially accepted throughout most of the United States. It's very common for people to live together outside of marriage. However, in my family, with the social surroundings that I grew up in, that is considered a sin, and it is 100% socially unacceptable. So that is why I refer to Edwin's labeling theory, because I was labeled those things by my family and by the church, not by myself. I did not believe that I was doing anything wrong, because people get divorced all the time because people get married for wrong reasons. And because it is accepted to live with your fiance or your significant other, your partner, whomever it may be, it's just unacceptable to my family. The next subject we'll talk about in the deviance and social control is drug addiction. Now, I was a drug addict for 5 years. I was a heroin addict for all 5 of those years. Clearly, that is deviant from anything that is socially accepted. Anywhere you go in the United States, drug addiction is not going to be socially accepted. It's going to be unacceptable in any shape or form. So I definitely deviated from the social norms by being in active drug addiction for 5 years, which brings me to the next slide, which is social class. So I had a middle class upbringing, and I had every chance for success. My father owns his own business. It's a small business, and he does pretty well for himself and provided very well for the family, for my sister and I growing up. So I did have every chance for success. I could have went to college when I graduated high school. I could have done anything I wanted to with my life. But as mentioned in the previous slide, I entered into drug addiction. 5 years of drug addiction changed the trajectory of my life forever. During the 5 years that I was in active addiction, the trajectory of my life was thrown completely off course. It wasn't until later that the trajectory would change once again, but in a positive way. So for the 5 years that I was in active addiction, my life was in shambles. I was a social outcast. I had no social skills. Anytime I was going to be in a social setting, I had to use drugs. I was so filled with anxiety and fear and worry that I had to self-medicate myself if I were going to be in any type of social situation, whether it be large or small, with family, with friends, or with the general public. I had deep social anxiety, and like I said, I was an outcast because of my addiction. I'd done things that were very deviant. I lied, I cheated, I stole, I done whatever I could to feed my addiction. But after 5 years of active addiction, I found myself in a completely new social surrounding. I had signed myself up for long-term treatment and went to a rehabilitation center for 8 months. While I was there, I was surrounded by people who were just like me, people who were feeling the same things socially that I was. They were outcasts. They had deep social anxiety and loads of issues just like I did. So I was finally surrounded by a group of peers that for the first time were just like me, that I could identify with, that I could see a change in them, and then I could try to receive the same change that I witnessed in them. Recovery gave me a second chance to become successful and to possibly reach the top 10% as mentioned in Dr. Reeves' study. Based on my upbringing, going to school, graduating high school, I could have been on the path for the top 10% as soon as I graduated high school. And I was, but then I quickly fell off when I became addicted. But once I became a recovering addict, things started to change again. I started to realize that I had a passion for drug addiction, that I had a desire to help others get clean and to maintain recovery the same way that I am. So now I'm enrolled in Campbellsville University, and I'm going for a bachelor's in social work. And with that degree, I hope to get my certified alcohol and drug counseling license and then become an alcohol and drug counselor and help people that were in the same social situation as I was, the same surroundings. They were outcasts of society, left with no one but themselves. And I want to give them someone and give them a person to look up to that can help them get out of their addiction, that knows what it's like, that's been through it, that has lived in addiction, and can help them get out of that. And I'm proof that it is possible, because so many people, when they're in active addiction, they feel as that it's impossible to get out of. We are hopeless. As they say in Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, we are hopeless and without help. And once you enter recovery, things can change. I am now a part of a completely different social class. I'm back in the middle class. I'm a student. I am a father who is there for his child. I am, again, a good brother, a good son. My family has their son back, healthy, not addicted, not overdosing on drugs, living a good, productive life, being a productive member of society. I work a full-time job. I go to school full-time. I'm a father full-time. I'm a son full-time. And I'm a fiance full-time. October the 12th of this year, I will be a husband. And finally, for the first time in my life, I can say that I am socially accepted for who I am now, not for what I used to be. So I want to take my past and use it for the future to help others recover in the same way that I did. There are all kinds of addicts, I guess. We all have pain, and we all look for ways to make the pain go away. Most of us in addiction are just trying to numb the pain and cover up the scars of trauma and past heartache through our life. Everybody has pain. Everybody just wants it to go away. That's what happened to me when I was in drug addiction. I just wanted the pain to go away. But luckily, like the phoenix rises from the ashes, I got as low as possible into the abyss. I hit rock bottom, but that's where the treasures are found, because I rose up and now I'm a productive member of society and I can move forward in recovery. And hopefully, with a degree in social work, I can begin counseling other people and helping them move forward just as I did. Thank you so much.